We pick up with the damaged folks down at Liberty High 8 months after the spring fling dance, and time for a new school year. A new student at Liberty, Annie, is now narrating, and is friends with Clay. Her mother is a nurse to Bryce's grandfather, who lives at Bryce's mother's, Mrs. Walker's house, which means that Bryce and Annie live together. In a flashback to the night of the dance, Clay, Tyler, and Tony Padilla have left the school and haven't been apprehended, who are told the near shooting was a false alarm. Tony and Clay take Tyler's gun. The students who knows what's happened, Clay, Tony, Jessica, Alex Standall, Zach Dempsey, Justin Foley, and a few others, protect Tyler's secrets and keep him company so he won't do anything foolish. They don't know that Montgomery sexually assaulted Tyler. Word spread that after the recent homecoming football game with Bryce playing for his new school, Hillcrest, Bryce disappeared. Clay is questioned by police because he sent Bryce a threatening text just before. Meanwhile, Justin is living at Clay's home as the Jenses are adopting him, and Jessica is students' body president, promising to eradicate rape culture at the school. During the game, Zach was injured by Bryce and can't play football. In a flashback, Bryce's ex-girlfriend, Chloe, tells Zach she is pregnant with Bryce's baby. He supports her in getting an abortion, but they don't tell Bryce. Annie becomes friendly with Bryce and sympathizes with him because he's being bullied at Hillcrest, hated by his friends at Liberty, and abandoned by his dad, whom his mom is divorcing. The investigation developed after Bryce's corpse was found. Word spread that Bryce's body was found in the river. Annie and Clay wonder if Justin or Jessica could be responsible, but they deny it. Although Alex and Jessica had been dating, Jessica and Justin are hooking up again. Tyler asks Tony if they got rid of all his guns. Tyler says he kept one, but he wants to get rid of it. Annie and Clay being questioning if Tyler could have killed Bryce, but Tyler denies it. In a flashback, Jessica, Tyler, and other students form a group, Hands Off Our Body, also known as HO, made up of sexual assault survivors and allies. Tyler tells Clay he kept the gun to use on himself. In a flashback, Tyler confronts Bryce about whether he told Montgomery to attack him, as Montgomery claimed. Bryce says no, and that he knows of the spring fling secret, and he will keep it. Tyler tells Clay that he decided to live, and that is why he wants to give up the gun. Justin says he will get rid of it and uses it to threaten his mother's ex-boyfriend, Seth, who has been lurking around because Justin stole money from him. The cops found a new lead, which is steroids in Bryce's car, which led them to think that Bryce was dealing steroids. At school, Alex throws out his own steroids, which he was taking to bulk up and get Jessica back. Clay and Annie consider the possibility that Alex is the murderer. In a flashback, Monty hooks up with Winston, a Hillcrest student, and then beats him up due to his confusion about his own sexuality. In another flashback, Bryce brings Alex to a sex worker because he knows Alex is sexually frustrated and missing Jessica and wants to help him. Plus, Bryce has been with this woman before too. Annie and Clay realize Alex was buying steroids from Bryce and that Bryce started charging him more after they had a fight, which is a potential motive. Annie finds Tony's Mustang in Mrs. Walker's garage, and well, you know me too well. It was Tony's to be questioned by the cops, and Clay and Annie wonder if he could be the killer. At Bryce's funeral, the HO group protests. In a flashback, Tony discovers his family has been taken and is scheduled for deportation. Bryce, hearing that Tony needs money, buys his Mustang. The police find footage from the previous spring of Clay pointing a gun at Bryce, and so Clay becomes the center of the investigation. The cops ask if Bryce and Clay were fighting over Annie, but Clay say they're just friends. The cops show Clay a pair of Annie's underwear found in Bryce's room with traces of blood, which could have given Clay motive. Now, the friend group wonders if Clay could have done it. In a flashback, Annie kisses Clay and things gets awkward. In the present, Clay confronts Annie about being with Bryce. She says it is complicated. Annie lies about her relationship with Bryce to the cops. Annie questions Clay about his whereabouts after the game. He continues to be vague and realizes Annie doesn't trust him. We learn also that Mr. Porter, the former guidance counselor at Liberty, has been counseling Bryce. The police bring Mr. Porter to speak to the students at Liberty for their case against Clay, but Mr. Porter helps him. Tyler tells Clay about the assault. Clay finds a hidden stash of pills in Justin's bag with Bryce's name on it. The Jensens have hired a lawyer to defend Clay because the police have officially named him a person of interest in the death of Bryce. Annie and Clay confront Justin about the drugs. In a flashback, Justin is dealing drugs for Seth to pay back the money he owes. He's also scheming drugs off the top to do himself. Bryce helps Justin out of the situation and gives him some pills because it is better than heroin. The cops question Hannah's mom, Mrs. Baker, because she was in town the night of the killing. She says she was selling her old house, which is true. In a flashback, Mrs. Baker tells Tony that his family was deported because of the Walkers, whose lawyers had info on Tony. Tony confronts Bryce, who admits his dad was responsible. He says he regrets hurting Hannah and never listened to the tapes. Tony plays them for Bryce, who who had an emotional response. In a flashback, Bryce tells his mom he wants to transfer back to Liberty to set things right. In the present, the principal tells Jessica that she must apologize at an assembly with the Hillcrest football team for what happened at the game. Before the assembly, Tyler tells Jessica about the assault. In a flashback, Jessica found out Bryce might be coming back to Liberty and decide to do something big at the game. During the game, the HO group rounds onto the field for a demonstration, and the Hillcrest player grabs Jessica's breast. The Liberty players storm the field and a fight ensues. The same night, Bryce tells Jessica he wants to give her something after the game. Then Bryce confronts Montgomery about Tyler and threatens to expose his crimes if he doesn't stay away from Tyler. Clay plans to leave town because of the suspicion on him, but Tyler asks him to come to the assembly. Instead of apologizing at the assembly, Jessica gives a speech, asking survivors to stand up. Several students do, including Justin and Tyler. Clay, who has come to the assembly, is arrested. Justin tells Jessica that he was assaulted when he was young. Charlie, a football player and friend of Montgomery's, tells Tyler that Monty admitted to the assault in front of him and that he would go to the police. In a flashback, Clay sees Bryce and Annie kissing at the game. When the fight breaks out, Clay goes to attack Bryce, but Justin stops him. Later, Clay texts Bryce that he wants him dead, the same text that made the police suspicious of Clay in the first place. Zach goes to the cops and says he killed Bryce. In a flashback, Chloe tells Bryce before the game about the abortion and that Zach supported her. On the field, Bryce intentionally injures Zach. Zach tells the cop that he followed Bryce, seriously beat him, and left him. The police say he couldn't have killed Bryce because he drowned. Tyler and Charlie go to the police and Monty is arrested for assault and is now suspected in Bryce's murder because he had motive. Clay is out on bail and Deputy Standall, who is re-examining evidence, seems to have doubt. Annie has a plan to clear Clay's name. She tells Deputy Standall nearly everything that has happened, including everyone who could have killed Bryce and why. Then she frames Monty for murdering Bryce and the other students collaborate to make the story plausible. In reality, Monty was with Winston during the murder. In a flashback, we see Jessica and Alex approach a seriously injured Bryce. He gives her a tape. Alex picks him up to help him and suddenly realizes that Bryce has hurt everyone he ever loved. He pushes Bryce into the river and Alex and Jessica watch him drown. Charlie plants the cassette tape with Bryce's blood on it in Monty's locker. Deputy Standall, speaking with Annie, realizes his son is guilty based on footprints and tire tracks at the crime scene. He tells Annie that Monty has been killed in jail and he agrees to go forward with the cover-up. Later, the Club listens to a copy of Bryce's tape on which he confesses to 7 or 8 rapes, apologizes for what he has done, and says he's trying to be a better person. A fisherman finds Tyler's gun that Tony and Clay had thrown in the river.
What did you tell the cops?
Winston.
He didn't kill Bryce. He was with me.
At Monet's, Tyler reveals a photo exhibit of all the people who helped him recover over the past year. Now there is some big question that must be answered in the next season. What is going to happen once Tyler's gun are brought to the authorities? Will Annie and Clay start dating? What will happen to Justin? Will the entire lie be exposed by Winston? That was everything for this video. I hope you did find it helpful. Until then, take it easy, family. Peace out.